I cannot emphasize enough how powerful of a people God's people are as a nation. If you isolate one, there is no power. Even Jesus sent people out two by two for the purpose of healing people. Truly, nothing can be done on your own. Absolutely nothing. I can do nothing of myself. I wouldn't be able to make these videos even without the assistance of someone. A few people. I want to emphasize in Deuteronomy 7 the power of a nation. Not only the individual people and the individual tribes, but a nation dimensionally. It's not just a group of people getting together and making a decision on doing something that they want to do. It's much larger than that. This is a nation with history. And again, this is for my kids, my grandkids, my brothers and sisters in Kenya, my brothers and sisters in Ghana, my brothers in Bangladesh, and whomever else is listening to this or watching it. God bless you. If God has placed on your heart the desire to do something great, the first thing he does is prepare you. Part of that preparation is connecting you with the right people. Part of that preparation is giving you the right education. Part of that is the experience. Part of that is getting the funding, the financial backing. There are many other parts. Those are just a few. Now, I'm not saying this just from my knowledge. I'm saying this from my history. There is power in your history. We look at successful people today and we look at what they seem to have accomplished, but we don't pay attention to how they got there, their history, their families, their mothers, their fathers, their education. Who is sown into their life? Who are they sowing into? The power of a nation or a people group is not just a few people getting together over a week or two. It's the power of bringing your history into that group, coming into agreement on the kingdom you will live by, or the system you will live or work by if you're building a business. Live by socially. Now, keep in mind, I'm attempting to talk to a lot of different people in a lot of different realms at the same time. So if this doesn't make sense to you, please, please, please just pay attention. I'm speaking to government officials, business leaders, social leaders. I'm speaking to professionals like in law, in medicine. I'm speaking to sex leaders in the sexual trade. It is also one of the businesses. I'm speaking to all you as much as I can with my limited understanding and language by the power of Christ that dwells on the inside of me. Regardless of the society, your politics, or what have you, you're only as powerful as your nation and the group of people that stand behind you. It doesn't mean you're the most numerous, as this is explaining here. When the children of Israel took over Canaan, as explained in the previous videos, and by the way, this might be tough if you haven't listened to some of the previous videos, at least some, because I'm getting to the place where I can't necessarily run back and forth. I just want you to connect, and so I encourage you to look at some of the previous videos, as my brothers in Bangladesh will post them here on this video. So your power is in your agreement with a group of people of different talents working together to make something happen, and you're not the most numerous, which again we have read. In taking over Canaan, there were 7 larger tribes, systems that were conquered by a smaller group of people called Israel, which were well organized, well versed, well trained. So the power, if you will, is in the agreement. And with God behind you. We will read soon, after we get out of the Torah, of Israel losing. Not because of their numbers, but because of their inefficiency and their lack of agreement and suffering because of their worship of many gods. In other words, the leadership lost grip of the agreement they had with God. Until you can champion the idea of the group being part of the battle to conquer the political construct, the social construct, or the business construct, your fighting is futile. You can want better for a group of people, but if they don't want it for themselves, then all your pushing to make it happen will not work. I am not saying this to be negative. I'm not saying this to be a defeatist or someone that says you can't win. I'm saying the work has to be done on the back end before you make a public display of whatever it is that you want to do. As a business consultant, I can only exercise as much power or authority that is given to me from the owner or the leader of whatever that company is. I may be frustrated, I may want to do it a different way, but it is not my job to lead in that circumstance. It's my job to lead as a business consultant with the power that has been given to me to do whatever the work is that has been given to me to do, to play my part. This is the challenge of Moses. Moses was not trying to fight all of these families, all of these tribes on his own. He was preparing the people. So when they made a decision not to take the land, he had to take a step back, whether he was ready or not. It didn't matter. There were 12 tribal leaders, or 12 tribes, along with the Levitical priests and the Levitical people that he was managing. And he can only go as far as he can get the people to agree to. They were already blessed. They would already occupy the land. God had already made a distinction that they were his people based upon the promises that he made to their fathers. So they were reaping the benefit of the faithfulness and the friendship of their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These promises were also made to Adam and Noah and Noah's 3 sons. So this is not the blessing on one particular tribe. They were unified. They were unified under the banner of Israel. Multiple tribes, all coming from the same family. And if you're thinking of the same family, I'm thinking about is Jacob. Again, these were promises made to Noah after the flood. 3 different tribes, 3 different directions. The chosen line is the line that we're studying. But Abraham is a father of many nations, people groups. So in Deuteronomy 7, as we read previously in the previous video, God proclaimed over them in verse 6, "For thou an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that upon the face of the earth." Today's Jew considers this their calling, that they are the chosen people, when in truth this is spoken to all of Israel. Again, 12 tribes and the Levitical priests and the Levitical people. I want to just say it's 13 tribes. I do. With the 2 half tribes, Joseph's sons, which were adopted to sonship. until we see each other as equals. I was talking to a group of brothers, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. And I was talking about the importance of having a round table. We're all leaders. We're all servants. We're all called to do something for God. But until we understand the power of seeing each other not as something less than you or greater than you, but equal to you, serving in different positions, there will be no power in the nation. Let's read on. In verse 8, it continues. Actually, in verse 7, the Lord did not set his love upon you. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for ye the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. Verse 9, know therefore that the Lord thy God, he God, the faithful God, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him, and I love this part, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. 1,000 generations. Anyway, verse 10, and repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hate him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. This is where a lot of us think that this no longer applies to us as a nation. Let me tell you the reason why I'm emphasizing nation. We have decided to cut ourselves up, not under the banner of Israel, Jehovah Nissi, We've cut ourselves up into corporations. We've cut ourselves up into sects. We're deciding which sect is better than the other sect. Notwithstanding, or in other words, well, let me say it differently. Not understanding that this is just man's division. This is not God's division. Just because you file paperwork and call yourself something else, and you get ordained by this organization or that organization, doesn't mean that this organization is more or less powerful than that organization being more or less powerful. These are federal government designations that does not apply to the kingdom of God. What's important is that we rally behind the kingdom, God's method of operating, not that we're recognized by the world system. The proof that we're rallying behind the kingdom of God and not being recognized, or rallying behind being recognized by the world system, is that we're moving in a unified way to take what belongs to God. His real estate, his insurance, and his securities. Territory, property, and the proper taking care of our women, our children, and our warriors. Our economy is our securities, our businesses. Real estate, insurance, and businesses. That means we're doing business one with another. That means that we're securing the what we call today insurance to take care of the widow, to take care of the children. We call that today insurance. I tell people this often, and I don't know if they believe it or not, but it's true. In the Jewish community, they don't open up their sons' and daughters' bank accounts. They open up their sons' and daughters' insurance policies. And when it's time for bar mitzvah, there's cash. And that child, all depending on the level of wealth of the family, can be already, as a child, a millionaire, successful financially, no longer needing to worry about income at all. Not because mom and dad left a tremendous amount of money in the bank account, which can happen as well, but because they left the child a system of operating and the ability to see how to successfully navigate life financially through the use of real estate, insurance, and business ownership. What I'm explaining to you here, and again, I know it's hard to make the connection, but I'm asking you to study to show yourself approved to learn how to make the connection. Verse 8. I'm going to try to be a little bit more targeted. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he God, the faithful God, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. In the Christian community, when we talk about covenant, we really target blood covenant. But we don't talk about the system of covenant. It's just not the word and blood. When a couple gets married back in the day, these times, it wasn't the man and the woman getting married, it was the families getting married. That's a covenant. As we talked about in the previous videos, if a woman walks away from her family line and marries into another family line because the father is dead and she was entitled to an inheritance, that's real estate. That's insurance. And that's business ownership. Cattle, sheep, making, I don't know, scarlet, linen clothing. A little bit more archaic, but that's business ownership. Doing business one with the other, by the way, they were taught for 40 years to do that. That's how they survived. They went into other towns buying, not conquering all the time. That's the power of a nation. Listen, I understand that this isn't necessarily taught in your churches and that sort of thing, but the power of a nation moves together with different talents. Some attorneys, some doctors, some makers of linen, some clothiers, some dry cleaners, some pastors, some preachers, some evangelists. That's just the Levitical tribe. But there are a plethora, an abundance of people that also are a part of the nation that needs the collaboration of other parts of the nation. If we live by his commandments, statutes, and judgments, if we pay attention to his faithful to thousands of years or thousands of generations who follow his covenant, then the people of the nation will flourish and win the battles. But until then, if we're disjointed, we will sit back and complain about society and the politics. And not get anywhere. CashApp $MrPaulDozier. CashApp $MrPaulDozier. We are on a journey from Genesis to Revelation. Have no clue how long it's going to take us to get there. If these videos or audios are helpful to you, please like and share them with your family, your friends, your business leaders, your business people, your politicians, whoever your group is. Use it as a Bible study. And thank you for taking the journey with me. And thank you for taking the journey with us.